Okay, guys, so I got a game for you. My Demons against some Dwarves. So here in the northeastern United States, in a couple months or so, there's going to be an ETC style team tournament, kind of like the Polish sausage event in the UK. And I just wanted to. I'm pretty sure that this is the list I'll be taking. So I just wanted to take it to the store and push it around a little bit. So I picked up a game against some Dwarves. So starting on my left as usual, I got a Bloodletter Horde, Herald Firestorm Blade. He doesn't have armor, because I think gifts are 0 to 1. I got a single Blood Crusher. My General, Great Unclean One, he's a level 2 with a Bale Sword, Pestilent Mucus. I don't remember what spells he rolled up for this game because he didn't use any. Single Fiend, also behind the house. And then I have a Herald. He's got the Lure of Metal with a Spellbreaker, and I generated 2 spells as per the ETC Master of Sorcery rule. So he rolled up Searing Doom and Final Transmutation. So I got a unit of Flamers in the woods, directly behind them, 5 Furies. And then I have another Bloodletter unit with my Herald Battle Standard Bearer. He's got the Armor of Corn and Standard of Sundering, which is not going to do any good in this game. They have the D6-inch charge banner. Another single Blood Crusher and another single Fiend. So pretty standard deployment against Dwarves. I just put my General behind a building or some other kind of cover, and then drop chaff until the Dwarf player's down, and then just deploy my blocks pretty much as close as I can get to him. So that's his deployment, and this is after his first movement phase. He just did a couple of reforms and shuffled around a bit. And in that big block of warriors, he's got a Thane BSB. I'm not really sure what kind of gear he's got, but he's basically unkillable. Maybe a 1-up rerollable save, immune to killing blow kind of stuff. And then in the hammerers, he's got... well, let me tell you what he's got first. He's got... Crossbowmen on the right, big unit of warriors in the middle. Hammer is next to them with the Rune Lord. He's got a pretty standard runic setup. He gets a couple extra dispel dice for having the Rune Lord. He does. He takes one out of my pool and puts it in the dispel pool. So, and then next to that, he's got the giant unit of, I think they're Longbeard Rangers that he decided not to scout, and they have throwing axes. So that's kind of interesting. And then he's got two organ guns behind with a cannon. You can see when he put his cannon down on the right, I just put my Great Unclean One down on the left behind the house. So this is, I don't remember if he won the roll-off for first turn or if I won it and gave it to him, but this is definitely a situation where I would give up the first turn, considering that those organ guns, they comprise a pretty large component of his shooting. I would definitely give him the first turn, so I'd have one less turn and being shot at with those things. So anyway, here's a Dwarf first turn, shuffle around a bit. Shooting, his cannon kills Blood Crusher, and I think the crossbows nick some Bloodletters off this unit. Daemons first turn, I go ahead and leave my Great Unclean One behind the building. He's only got 1 cannon, so I know I can run him out there and just take it in the face. But I figure I'd let my army get a little closer to his, and once the pressure's up a little bit, I'll pull the Great Unclean One out, because there's no reason to just take an early cannonball and lose 5 or 6 wounds and then just kind of have to, there's no reason to take that risk, I don't think. But otherwise, I just move up like so. Pretty standard dwarf, anti-dwarf tactics is just hide the Great Unclean One and run at him. Here's more. Here's what I'm doing. Just got that kind of fence thing. I just popped the Fiend behind it because the obstacle will stop the cannonball, so he's going to have to shoot at something else. And then if he's not able to kill the Fiend with the crossbows or an organ gun, I'll be able to nab the cannon next turn. And yeah, so in his movement phase, I don't think he moves at all. Goes straight to shooting, and he shoots that entire unit of crossbows at the Fiend, and I roll insanely good on my ward saves, which I do a lot this game. Save the Fiend, and then he blows it away with an organ gun. My movement phase is more of the same, so here we got, my bloodletters are actually in charge range of, several of his units now. My flamers go ahead and shoot, and it looks like they've toasted 4 crossbowmen out of that unit. Okay, so over here, that giant unit of Longbeard Rangers has throwing axes, and I think they're 6-inch range, and their strength is, as the user, +1, so those are going to be strength 5, so he's going to be throwing a lot of them, and so those are going to hurt pretty bad. So I just dropped the Furies in front of him, so he's got hard cover to shoot it, or not hard cover, -1 to hit if he goes after the bloodletters, if he even has range, because he's got to stop an inch away from the Furies. So otherwise, that's how we're looking. So I'm pretty happy at this point. I'll be able to charge next turn. But it's really what games against dwarves is. You just kind of run at them. In deployment, you get the matchups you want, and just run at them. And it's a matter of, can he kill enough in order to grind you off by the time you get there. And with this amount of shooting, it doesn't look like my opponent's going to be able to do that at all. So in his next turn, he's scared that I can get the charge into his cannon and just start cleaning up his war machine, so he throws the crossbows up to block the charge, and angles them so that the overrun's going to take me away from his war machines. And I'm pretty sure an organ gun just blows off the back rank of this unit. Okay, so over here, in his previous shooting phase, his rangers end up throwing their axes at the Furies and killing the whole unit. Which is fine, because they did a lot of wounds, and the whole time I was making saves, I was just thinking, man, this could be my bloodletters. That would not have been pretty. So anyway, I go ahead and charge the bloodletter unit into the hammerers. I drop the Fiend in front of the Longbeard so that they can't kind of help the hammerers out, because I'm pretty sure it's hard to tell from this picture, but it looks like they might even be in my bloodletter's flank. And so if they were to do that counter charge, they could probably pop that unit, especially considering that the bloodletters are in the woods and thus cannot be steadfast. Blood Crusher is getting behind his lines to go pick on the organ guns, which he's just gonna shoot it, kill it. Move the Flamers over here to shoot at the Rangers, since they have nothing else to do. And I actually pulled Big Papa out of the out from behind the hill to kind of get involved in the fight. So over here, yeah, I made this charge. So now in my magic phase, basically magic consists of me rolling the Winds of Magic. In ETC rules, you can only throw a maximum of 5 dice at a spell. So I basically just generate Winds of Magic. He tallies up his dispel dice, takes one of my power dice, and then if I have 5 dice left over, I'll throw them all at Final Transmutation. And if I have less than that, I don't bother, because I know I'm not going to get it. Anyway, so this turn, I've been doing that for the past 2 turns, and this turn I end up getting it off on his Longbeards, and with the Flamer shooting, it takes him down to 24. So that now that unit is basically, before where it was a huge threat, to the grid and clean one insect, it's not anymore. So it's kind of sucks, but that I just at 5 dice the nuke spell every turn. But I mean that's just the nature of the beast when you're dealing with dwarf dispel capabilities. It's really the only way you're going to get anything. Okay, so combat. I lose 5 bloodletters and kill a ton of hammers, and they're stubborn. So, and actually, I think the bloodletter unit on the right easily wins, and their overrun was rather poor. So I think they needed an 8 to get into the warriors, and they missed it by they rolled 3 or something. So basically we go pretty much immediately into the dwarf next turn, and he takes that warrior unit and just he runs it at the bloodletter unit on the right to keep me, because now I can wheel fairly comfortably to go get his war machines. So he goes ahead and just takes the warrior unit, shoves it in the bloodletter's face so they can't do that. So we go straight to combat. He kills more bloodletters who chop up more hammerers, so stubborn. And then over here, he didn't charge the miners, and you'll notice that there's a gap in between the bloodletter unit and the longbeards. There's a gap that's about 2.5 inches. It doesn't exist in later pictures because when I pointed out to my opponent that he could actually, that I could make the charge and put the great and clean one right there, because you can violate the 1-inch rule when charging. He later moved. I let him move his miners up, so that gap's going to disappear. So in my turn, I take a bit of a risk here, and I charge the Fiend, the Flamers, and the Great Unclean One into these Ranger guys. And in hindsight, it turns out their weapon skill 5. And if I had realized that before I declared the charge, I definitely wouldn't have sent my Flamers in. Because hitting on 5s rather than 4s is a huge difference. But anyway, I did decide to throw them in because I wanted their extra strength 5 attacks. I really wanted to burn through this unit as fast as possible. I definitely didn't realize they were so mean, though. So, yeah, those guys mean business. So here's just a picture of how it's looking. Clash of, a nice battle line. It looks like a pretty cool picture. But you can see his organ gun also just, in the previous turn, just blasted my Blood Crusher that was looking to pick on his war machines. So here we are, just getting kind of really slowly ground down. You can see the bloodletter unit on the right charges the warrior horde, and I really don't like that combat at all because it's just gonna I'm gonna lose the unit, pretty much guaranteed because I can't outgrind them. But I definitely feel safer in combat, than just standing off against his 2 organ guns. The hammer combat's going rather nicely. Like I said, he just didn't have enough war machines or ranged capability to do enough damage to that unit before it reached him, so they're just going to cut out the hammer unit. And over here you can see that Longbeard unit is actually getting pretty small. He's killed a couple of Flamers, which is making me nervous. That unit's a lot of points, especially with the Sorcerer. I'm pretty confident that I'll get that unit, and it's a lot of points. I think it's like a 500-point unit. I'd rather not give up the Sorcerer, and in hindsight, I won't do that. I'll make sure to ask, whether or not they're weapon skill 5 or, just have a little more details on stats before sending the Flamers in, because everybody knows they can mess stuff up, but not if you're weapon skill 5, they can't. So otherwise, it just looks like that. I think this is his movement phase, and in one of the following turns he's just moving his war machines away out from behind his guys so that when he eventually breaks, I'm not going to be able to pursue into his war machines. And yeah, we're just stuck in this kind of crazy grind fest. You can see up top that the bloodletters up top they've done a number on the warrior unit. They've really cut it down to size, but he managed to kill all of them, so it's just my BSB. It's really funny though because he can't wound my BSB. He can't get any wounds through, and he's still wounding. He's still killing 3 a turn and has the battle standard, so he's still winning combat. So that's just completely ridiculous. Bloodletters are making very short work. Not short work. This is actually taking forever, but they're chopping up his hammers slowly. And I think they'll be able to finish the rest of them off in a round or so, and then the characters won't be stubborn. So they'll win the combat, break the BSB, who will die, and then they'll try to run down the Rune Lord. And then the Flamers and the Great Unclean One over here are just grinding out that Longbeard Ranger unit. So like I said, the Bloodletters were able to finish off the Hammerers, and then so I won the combat and broke them. The BSB was removed due to the Last Stand special rule. The Rune Lord ran, and then on the overrun, or no, the pursuit, I rolled high enough to catch the Rune Lord and get into the organ gun. And when you overrun into something, you charge it, And when you charge war machines, since they don't have bases or anything to close the door to, you can do kind of some funky stuff with your 90-degree wheel to hit a war machine. So I decided to do kind of this little maneuver. So I wheel to hit the organ gun, and then I can nominate 6 guys for my assault party, kill it, and then overrun into the flank of the warriors and just clean them up and hopefully save my BSB. And then on the right you can see that he's got 6 of those little long beards left, so it's just a matter of time if he can get the points for my little sorcerer and the flamer unit. But actually I don't think he was able to. I think this is a picture of how things are looking at the end of the game. Yeah, I think I have 1 turn left, and basically my opponent decided to call it. It was looking like I was going to get the organ gun on the warrior unit, and depending on my thunderstorm, very possibly the long-beard rangers. So he just decided to call it. So yeah. I mean, I apologize. There wasn't really a lot of dynamic movement or anything in this report, but it's just the nature of the beast when you play against dwarves. But regardless, I hope you guys enjoy the report, and I'll see you guys at the next one.